Hollywood is built on dreams, but sometimes those dreams end in ways that feel cruelly unfair. Fame brings recognition, admiration, and success, yet it offers no protection from tragedy. Over the years, some of the most talented black actors in film and television left behind legacies that were cut short by sudden, heartbreaking deaths. These were not just entertainers. They were cultural icons, voices of representation, and symbols of progress whose absence is still felt today. Their stories are painful, powerful, and impossible to forget. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman's death in 2020 shocked the world, not only because of his talent, but because of his strength. While millions watched him portray kings, warriors, and legends on screen, few knew he was quietly battling colon cancer behind the scenes. Diagnosed in 2016, Boseman chose not to make his illness public. Instead, he continued working, delivering some of the most impactful performances of his career while enduring surgeries, chemotherapy, and immense physical pain. His portrayal of Black Panther became more than a role. It became a symbol of pride, representation, and hope for millions of people around the world. When news of his passing broke at just 43 years old, the grief was global. Fans struggled to comprehend how someone who looked so powerful on screen had been fighting such a private war. Boseman's tragedy lies not only in his death, but in the quiet courage with which he carried his burden, choosing to inspire others even as his own life slipped away. Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee was on the verge of becoming a major Hollywood star when his life ended in one of the most disturbing accidents in film history. The son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, Brandon was filming The Crow in 1993 when a prop gun malfunctioned. What was supposed to be a blank round discharged a fragment that fatally wounded him during a scene. He was just 28 years old. The tragedy shook the entertainment industry to its core. Brandon had been carving his own path, determined to step out of his father's shadow while honoring his legacy. His death raised serious questions about safety standards on film sets and left an unfinished performance that was later completed using body doubles and visual effects. To this day, The Crow remains a haunting reminder of a life that ended far too soon and a career that never reached its full potential. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman was widely regarded as one of the most gifted actors of his generation. His ability to disappear into roles made him unforgettable in films like Capote, The Master, and Doubt. But behind his extraordinary talent was a lifelong struggle with addiction. Despite years of sobriety, Hoffman relapsed and died from a drug overdose in 2014 at the age of 46. His death was a painful reminder that addiction does not discriminate, and that even the most accomplished individuals can be consumed by it. Hoffman's tragedy lies in the contrast between his professional success and his personal demons. Friends and colleagues described him as kind, generous, and deeply committed to his craft. Losing him meant losing an actor who elevated every film he touched, leaving a void that Hollywood has never fully filled. Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams brought a raw authenticity to every role he played, most famously as Omar Little in The Wire. His performances were shaped by his own life experiences, including a difficult upbringing and struggles with addiction. Williams was open about his journey, often speaking about recovery and personal growth. In 2021, he was found dead in his apartment from a drug overdose at the age of 54. The news devastated fans who saw him not just as an actor, but as a survivor who used his platform to speak honestly about pain, trauma, and healing. His death felt especially tragic because it came after years of advocacy and vulnerability. Williams's legacy remains powerful, but his passing stands as a heartbreaking example of how difficult the road to recovery can be, even for those who seem to have found their way. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was not just an actress and singer. She was a once-in-a-generation talent whose voice defined an era. From The Bodyguard to Waiting to Exhale, her presence on screen carried the same power and emotion that made her a global music icon. Yet behind the success was a long and painful struggle with addiction that played out publicly for years. In 2012, Houston was found dead in a hotel bathtub at the age of 48, just one day before she was set to attend the Grammy Awards. The news stunned the world. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning, with drugs contributing to her condition. What made her passing so tragic was the knowledge that her talent remained unmatched, and her potential for redemption was something fans still hoped for. Whitney Houston's death felt like losing a piece of cultural history, a voice that once lifted millions, silenced far too soon. Paul Walker. Paul Walker became a household name through the Fast and Furious franchise, but he was known by those close to him as a quiet, generous, and grounded individual. While not always seeking the spotlight, Walker used his fame to support humanitarian causes and disaster relief efforts around the world. In 2013, Walker died in a horrific car accident at the age of 40 while riding in a high-performance vehicle driven by a friend. The crash shocked fans globally and left a major film franchise unfinished. His death was especially painful because it came at a moment when he was balancing professional success with personal fulfillment. Walker's passing reminded the world how fragile life can be, even for those who seem to have everything. Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton built a career defined by versatility, seamlessly moving between drama, action, and science fiction. From Aliens to Twister, his performances brought authenticity and relatability that audiences connected with deeply. In 2017, Paxton died unexpectedly at the age of 61 due to complications following heart surgery. His death stunned Hollywood, not because of scandal or long illness, but because of how sudden and unforeseen it was. Paxton was still actively working, still evolving as an artist, and still deeply respected by his peers. His passing served as a reminder that tragedy does not always arrive with warning, and that even stable, successful lives can be altered in an instant. Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle was more than a rapper and actor. He was a community leader, entrepreneur, and symbol of empowerment. His work both on screen and in music reflected his commitment to uplifting underserved communities and promoting ownership and education. In 2019, Nipsey was shot and killed outside his own business in Los Angeles at just 33 years old. His death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and beyond. Nipsey represented progress, self-determination, and hope, making his murder especially heartbreaking. He was actively investing in his neighborhood and working toward long-term change when his life was violently cut short. His legacy continues to inspire, but the circumstances of his death remain a painful reminder of how fragile progress can be. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier's passing in 2022 marked the loss of a true pioneer. As the first Black actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actor, Poitier reshaped Hollywood and opened doors that had long been closed. His performances carried dignity, strength, and purpose at a time when representation was limited and resistance was strong. Although he lived a long life, his death was deeply emotional because of what he symbolized. Poitier was more than an actor, he was a trailblazer whose presence changed the industry forever. His passing felt like the closing of a historic chapter, one that paved the way for generations of Black actors who followed. If this documentary moved you, consider subscribing for more respectful deep dives into Hollywood history and cultural legacies. Share your thoughts in the comments about which of these stories affected you the most.